Norway has 5 million people spread across territory larger than Germany. 385,000 square kilometers contain mountains, fjords, forests, and plateaus. The coastline measures 25,000 kilometers if you count every inlet and island. 150,000 islands and 1,118 fjords cut inland from the sea. Some fjords extend over 200 kilometers, with water reaching depths of 1,300 meters. The Vikings sailed from these shores. The longships that reached North America raided European coasts, discovered Iceland and Greenland. The heritage is visible in stave churches, rune stones, and burial mounds. The pride is tangible in museums, festivals, and the revival of Old Norse traditions. The oil was discovered in 1969. The North Sea fields transformed Norway from a fishing nation to a hydrocarbon giant. The Sovereign Wealth Fund holds $1.6 trillion in investments in global markets. The future is secured by fossil fuels, though the irony is not lost on a country committed to electric vehicles and renewable energy. This is Norway, land of the midnight sun in summer and polar night in winter, where the northern lights dance overhead. Where fjords carved by glaciers create landscapes that geology textbooks cannot quite explain. Where mountains rise straight from the sea. Where waterfalls fall hundreds of meters. Where roads tunnel through mountains and bridge across fjords. 40 places, from the capital to the Arctic, from tourist icons to hidden valleys, from fjords everyone knows to islands nobody visits. All real, all Norway. The capital sits at the head of OSLO, surrounded by forests that protect the city from sprawl. Oslo has 690,000 residents, small by European standards, manageable, and the city is walkable, despite the winters. The Opera House is marble and glass jutting into the harbor. The roof is a public plaza with visitors climbing to the top. The design won awards. The architecture makes statements about openness and accessibility. The Viking Ship Museum displays 3 longships, the Oseberg, Gokstad, and Thun ships, excavated from burial mounds and preserved by clay. The craftsmanship is visible despite 1,000 years of burial. The royal palace is understated compared to European equivalents. The monarchy is accessible, and the king occasionally bikes around town. The Vigeland Park displays 200 sculptures by Gustav Vigeland, featuring the human form in bronze and granite. The park is free and popular with both locals and tourists. Oslo is expensive, with a cost of living among the world's highest. The wages match, however, and the standard of living is excellent for those who can afford it. the gateway to the fjords. Bergen sits on the west coast, surrounded by 7 mountains. The rain falls 300 days per year, earning the city its reputation as Norway's wettest. The population is 285,000, the second largest in Norway. The history as a trading port is visible in Bryggen, the Hanseatic wharf with wooden buildings dating from the 14th century. The area is UNESCO listed with colorful facades, hiding offices and shops, and the fish market operates daily, selling fresh catch, whale meat and king crab. The prices are inflated for tourists, though the quality is good. The Fløibanen funicular climbs Mount Fløyen, offering views across the city, harbour and islands. The perspective shows Bergen's geography, how the mountains contain it, and how the ocean defines it. The rain is constant, and the umbrella is essential. The weather creates humour and resignation. So the locals joke that if you can see the mountains, it is about to rain, and if you cannot see them, it is raining. Bergen is a departure point for fjord cruises and the Hurtigruten coastal ferry. The tourists arrive and depart, with the city functioning as a gateway more than a destination. UNESCO World Heritage Fjord and the tourist icon, the postcard image. Geirangerfjord is 15 kilometers long, with narrow passages. The walls rise vertically from the water, and waterfalls cascade from the cliffs. The Seven Sisters waterfall consists of 7 streams falling 300 meters. The opposite shore has the Suter, a single waterfall allegedly courting the sisters. Anthropomorphism is inevitable, though beauty requires no metaphor. The cruise ships navigate the fjord through the narrow passage. Massive vessels fill the space, showing human engineering against natural forces. The debate is ongoing about whether cruise ships should be allowed. The damage to the environment must be weighed against the economic benefit to the village. Geiranger village sits at the head of the fjord with 600 residents that swell to thousands daily in summer. The tourists overwhelm the infrastructure. The village tolerates them for the economic benefit, though the authenticity is compromised. The bills are paid. The viewpoint Dalsnibbe offers perspectives from 1,500 meters. The road climbs through snow even in summer. The views extend across multiple fjords with mountains beyond and the horizon distant. In the UNESCO World Heritage listing, shared with Geirangerfjord. NÆRØYFJORD is 17 kilometers long. The width narrows to 250 meters at the tightest point. The walls rise 1,700 meters. The sense of enclosure is complete. The cliffs block the sun. The water is dark and cold. It travels the fjord, with the passage being travels the fjord, with the passage being spectacular. The silence is broken by boat engines and camera shutters. The experience is mediated through screens. Everyone is filming, while fewer people simply watch. The digital documentation is replacing direct experience, and the farms cling to narrow ledges above the water. They are accessible by steep paths. The isolation is historic. Helicopter access now allows year-round inhabitation. Modernity is reaching places that were abandoned decades ago. NÆRØYFJORD is dramatic and photogenic. It is crowded. The beauty is undeniable. The experience is diminished by popularity, but still worth the tour bus, crowds, and commercialization. The king of the fjords. SOGNEFJORD is Norway's longest and deepest at 205 kilometers inland from the coast. The depth reaches 1,308 meters. The dimensions defeat easy comprehension. The fjord branches into multiple arms: Ålandsfjord, NÆRØYFJORD, and Fjords, each beautiful and distinct. The variations show how glaciers carved valleys that flooded when ice retreated. The villages along the fjord are small and connected by ferry, but the water provides a highway where roads are difficult. The traditions of boat transport persist, despite tunnels and bridges connecting some communities. The fruit farms on the fjord slopes produce apples and cherries. The microclimate created by the water moderates temperatures. The growing season is viable this far north because of the fjord's protection. The glaciers descend from Jostedalsbreen, the largest ice cap in continental Europe. The tongues reach toward the fjord. The blue ice is visible from the water. Climate change is causing retreat. The glaciers are shrinking measurably year to year. The future is uncertain. The Troll's Tongue. TROLLTUNGA is a rock formation jutting horizontally from the cliff on Mount Skegerdal, 700 meters above Ringedalsvatnet Lake. The hike is 28 kilometers round trip, 10 to 12 hours, moderate difficulty, and exhausting distance. The crowds are significant despite the effort. The formation itself is small. The queue to walk out on it is lengthy in summer. The wait is measured in hours. The photo requires patience. The experience is commercialized by popularity. Instagram discovered it. Influencers posed on it. The original beauty is diminished, but still present for those who wait their turn. The view from TROLLTUNGA extends across the lake, mountains, and valley. The perspective is worth the hike despite the crowds. The composition is naturally perfect. The formation provides a foreground. The landscape provides scale. The hike requires preparation and proper gear. The weather changes rapidly. Fog and rain are common. The trail is exposed. The danger is real. despite infrastructure improvements. The popularity creates a false sense of security. The cliff that launched 1,000 photos. PREIKESTOLEN is a flat-topped cliff rising 604 meters above Lofoten. The platform measures 25 meters square. The edges are sheer, and the drop is fatal. The hike is 8 kilometers round trip, 4 hours, with moderate difficulty. The popularity is extreme, with 300,000 visitors annually. The trail is crowded, and the parking lot fills by 9 a.m. in summer. The platform has no fence and no barriers. The responsibility is placed on visitors. Natural selection occasionally claims those who approach too close to the edge, or underestimate the wind, or overestimate their balance. The views across Lofoten are spectacular. The water is far below. The opposite wall rises equally high. The scale demonstrates the glacier's power. The ice-carved valleys that defy imagination despite seeing the results. PREIKESTOLEN is Norway's most visited natural attraction. The accessibility makes it democratic. The crowds make it less appealing. The beauty persists despite the selfie sticks, tour groups, and litter. The boulder wedged in a mountain crevasse, in suspended 984 meters above Lofoten. KJERAGBOLTEN is 5 cubic meters of rock, lodged between 2 cliff faces. The placement is natural, but appears impossible. Physics defies intuition. The hike is 11 kilometers round trip, 6 to 10 hours, and high difficulty. The chains assist on steep sections. The exposure is significant. The views constantly distract from the effort. The boulder itself requires scrambling down into the crevasse, standing on the rock, and posing for photos. The queue is long in summer. The wait tests patience. The experience requires commitment. The winds are dangerous. The weather is unpredictable. The clouds roll in without warning. Visibility drops to meters. Navigation is difficult. Retreats are necessary when conditions deteriorate. KJERAGBOLTEN is adventure tourism. The challenge is part of the appeal. The risk is accepted. The reward is proportional to the effort. The satisfaction is earned, not purchased. The experience separates those who prepare from those who attempt without understanding what they are undertaking. The archipelago was covered in a previous documentary, but deserves mention in the Norway overview. Lofoten is 190 kilometers of islands north of the Arctic Circle. The mountains rise from the sea. The fishing villages are photogenic. The stockfish racks define the economy. The E10 highway connects the islands through bridges and tunnels. The road trip was spectacular. The scenery is overwhelming. The midnight sun circles overhead in summer. The northern lights dance in winter. The seasons are extreme. The lifestyle is adapted to the darkness and the light. Lofoten has fishing heritage, Viking history, and modern tourism. The balance is precarious. The authenticity is threatened by popularity. The villages transform from working communities to tourist attractions. The Rørbyer are converted from fishermen's cabins to holiday rentals. The economy is shifting from cod to cameras. The change is inevitable. The loss is regrettable, though survival is dependent on adaptation. The Paris of the North, they call it, though the claim is ambitious for a city of 77,000 in the Arctic. Tromsø sits at 69 degrees north, 350 kilometers above the Arctic Circle. The winter brings polar night from November through January. The summer brings midnight sun from May through July. The Arctic Cathedral has distinctive architecture in white concrete and glass. The interior is bright. The design is modern, yet somehow timeless. The Polaria Aquarium displays Arctic marine life. Bearded seals perform. The tourists are entertained. The educational mission is genuine. The cable car climbs to Storsteinen, offering views across the city surrounding islands and mountains. The perspective shows Tromsø's geography, how it spreads across islands, and how bridges connect it. The Northern Lights tours depart nightly in winter. The operators chase clear skies, driving hours to escape clouds. The aurora is visible from the city occasionally, but the light pollution diminishes the display. Darkness is essential for proper viewing. The experience is weather dependent. Luck is as important as location. The Art Nouveau city. ÅLESUND is built on islands and peninsulas on the west coast. The architecture is uniform because the city burned in 1904. 4 hours destroyed the town center. 1 person died, but 10,000 were homeless. The reconstruction was rapid. German Kaiser Wilhelm II sent aid. The architects designed Art Nouveau style with ornate facades, turrets, and spires. The aesthetics are deliberate, creating a coherent cityscape rare in cities that grew over centuries. The population is 55,000. And fishing remains important. The harbor is active. The economy is mixed between maritime industries and tourism. The OSLO viewpoint is reached by stairs or car, 418 steps, offering views across the city, islands, and ocean. The perspective shows how ÅLESUND spreads across the water and how geography shapes urban form. The city is the gateway to Geirangerfjord. Tourists arrive and depart. The city is more than a transit point for those who explore beyond the harbour. The Art Nouveau preservation creates an identity beyond the fjord proximity. The third largest city with 194,000 residents, the historic capital, and the coronation site for Norwegian monarchs. Trondheim is known for NÆRØYFJORD Cathedral with its Gothic architecture. Construction started in 1070 and was completed over centuries from 1300 onward. The cathedral was destroyed by fire multiple times and was rebuilt and restored. The result shows centuries of architectural evolution. The cathedral holds the shrine of Saint Olaf, the patron saint of Norway. It was a medieval pilgrimage destination and is a modern tourist attraction. The religious significance is diminished, though the historical importance is maintained. The Old Town Bridge Gamle Bybro is a red wooden structure from the 19th century. The crossing is photogenic. The colorful warehouses line the Nidelva River, creating a postcard composition. The university is large, NTNU, with 39,000 students focused on engineering. The research is respected internationally. The presence energizes the city. The students are visible in cafes and bars. The nightlife is active despite the Arctic location and cold climate. Trondheim is a livable city that is bike-friendly and compact. The quality of life is high. The weather is challenging. The winter is dark and cold, but the summer compensates. The oil capital. Stavanger has 144,000 residents, the fourth largest city. Prosperity is built on the petroleum industry. The headquarters for major companies are here. The money is visible in restaurants, shops, and property prices. The old town, Gamle Stavanger, has white wooden houses and cobblestone streets. The preservation is good. The area is picturesque and photogenic. The contrast with the modern oil industry is sharp. The Norwegian Petroleum Museum documents the offshore industry in technology, economics, and environmental impact. The museum is honest about challenges while celebrating achievements. The narrative is complex, acknowledging that petroleum funded Norway's transformation while questioning long-term sustainability. The city is the base for exploring Oslefjord. PREIKESTOLEN and KJERAGBOLTEN are accessible. Tourism is significant, but secondary to the oil economy. The street food scene is developing with international influences. Multiculturalism is growing. The city is more cosmopolitan than its size suggests. The oil money attracts workers globally and is changing demographics, creating diversity unusual in Norwegian cities. The mining town froze in time. RØROS is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Copper mining operated from the 17th to the 20th centuries. The town survived the mine's closure. The wooden buildings are preserved. The church dominates the skyline. The population is 5,000. Tourism supports the economy, and visitors arrive year-round. Winter is particularly popular with temperatures dropping to -40 degrees. The snow is guaranteed. The Christmas market attracts Norwegians and tourists. The buildings are dark wood with colorful trim. The construction is adapted to the harsh climate. The architecture is distinctive and recognizable. The slag heaps surround the town, evidence of 3 centuries of mining. The environmental damage is visible. The landscape is scarred. The restoration is ongoing. The RØROS is an authentic, historic town, not a museum. People live in centuries-old buildings. The preservation requires maintenance. The cold tests structures. The winter is extreme, even by Norwegian standards. The altitude is 600 meters, contributing to the temperatures. The season is long, and the summer is brief. The growing season is short. The environment is challenging for human habitation, yet the town persists. The Orchard of Norway. Geirangerfjord is 179 kilometers long, the 3rd longest. The slopes produce fruit, apples and cherries primarily, with microclimate allowing agriculture impossible elsewhere at this latitude. The Hardanger Bridge spans the fjord at 1,380 meters. It is a suspension bridge that is elegant and controversial. The aesthetics are debated. The necessity is accepted. The bridge connects communities and reduces ferry dependence. And the fjord branches into multiple arms, Sørfjorden and Eidfjorden, each beautiful. The villages are small. The economy is mixed between farming, tourism, and industry. The Folgefonna Glacier sits on the peninsula between Hardangerfjord and Sørfjorden. The ice cap covers 220 square kilometers. Ski resorts operate on the glacier in summer. The season is extended by elevation and permanent ice, though climate change is reducing the glacier. The skiing season is shortening. Well, the future is uncertain. Hardangerfjord is less touristy than Geirangerfjord or NÆRØYFJORD. The crowds are smaller, the authenticity is higher. The villages function as communities rather than tourist attractions. The experience is more Norwegian and less performative. The most visited waterfall in Norway. VØRINGSFOSSEN drops 182 meters in total with a 145-meter free fall. The power is impressive during the spring melt. The flow is sometimes reduced to a trickle in dry autumn. The viewpoint is accessible by road. The parking lot is large and facilities are good. Viewing platforms extend over the gorge. Glass floors allow downward views. The engineering is impressive. The accessibility makes VØRINGSFOSSEN democratic and available to everyone regardless of hiking ability. The Mobodalen Valley below the falls is spectacular with a narrow gorge. The river carves through rock. The landscape shows erosion's ongoing work. The falls are on the route from Oslo to Bergen. The location is convenient. The stop is inevitable. The crowds are predictable. Summer brings buses. The viewing platforms are crowded. The photos are difficult without strangers in the frame. VØRINGSFOSSEN is Norway's accessible nature, the beauty brought to people rather than people earning the beauty through effort. The democratization is positive. The crowding is an inevitable consequence. From the village at the end of the train journey. FLAM sits at the head of Geirangerfjord with 400 residents. The economy is entirely tourist-dependent. The FLAM railway brings visitors through 20 kilometers with 865 meters of elevation change. It is one of the steepest standard gauge railways globally. The journey takes 1 hour. Waterfalls are visible from the train. The descent is dramatic. The construction is an achievement for 1940s technology. The village has tourist facilities, hotels, restaurants. The cruise ships dock here. Thousands disembark, overwhelming the village and departing the same day. The experience is transactional. The hiking is excellent. The Ålesund Valley offers multi-day treks. The fjord provides kayaking. The mountains allow climbing. However, most tourists stay hours, not days. The potential is unexplored. The depth is sacrificed for breadth. The itinerary is controlled by cruise schedules. The FLAM is Norway packaged. The fjord, the railway, the mountains, everything accessible and nothing challenging. The beauty is delivered without effort, satisfying many and disappointing some. The platform jutting from the mountain above Geirangerfjord. STEGASTEIN is 30 meters of wood and steel extending over a 600-meter drop. The platform offers views across the fjord, mountains, and valley. The perspective is dramatic. The engineering is bold. The road from FLAM climbs through hairpin turns. The gradient is steep. The scenery expands with each switchback. The arrival at the viewpoint rewards the drive. The platform is an architectural statement, minimalist design, where the structure disappears visually. The focus is on the landscape. The experience is enhanced by the viewing angle. The position creates immersion. The feeling of suspension over the fjord is palpable. The crowds are significant during peak hours. Yes, the Norway in a nutshell tours stop here. Buses arrive in waves. The platform is congested. The experience is diminished by crowding. Early morning or evening visits avoid the crowds. The light is better. The experience is more contemplative. Meditation is possible when tourist groups do not overwhelm the space. The home of the giants. Jotunheimen covers 1,150 square kilometers of mountains with 275 peaks above 2,000 meters. Geirangerfjord, at 2,469 meters, is Norway's highest. Glittertind is slightly lower. The competition depends on whether you count the glacier on Glittertind's summit. The hiking is extensive, with trails ranging from easy-day walks to multi-day treks. The BERGEN Ridge hike is particularly popular. The route traverses a narrow ridge between two lakes. Gjender's blue-green water contrasts with Besvatnet's blue. The color difference is from glacial melt concentrations. The park has glaciers, lakes, and valleys. The landscape is alpine and above tree line. The vegetation is hardy and adapted to short growing seasons and harsh winters. The lodges provide accommodation. The Norwegian mountain hut system is extensive. The facilities are basic but adequate. The ethos is self-service. The prices are reasonable. The accessibility is democratic. Hiking Norway does not require wealth. The natural beauty is available to anyone willing to walk. Norway's first national park, established in 1962, protects 963 square kilometers of mountains, plateaus, and valleys. RONDANE is less visited than Jotunheimen. The peaks are lower. The highest is Ronslottet at 2,178 meters. The landscape is gentler and rounder, and the erosion has created softer profiles than the jagged peaks elsewhere. The reindeer herds are large, wild reindeer, not domesticated like Sami herds further north. The animals migrate across the plateau. The populations are healthy. The hunting is controlled and sustainable. The hiking is excellent. The trails are less crowded than popular national parks. Solitude is achievable. The wilderness experience is less mediated by infrastructure. The geology is ancient, Precambrian rock, among the oldest in Norway. The mountains are worn down by time and ice. The current height is a fraction of the original elevation. RONDANE is Norway for those seeking quiet and distance from crowds. The beauty is less dramatic than fjords, but equally genuine. The experience requires patience and appreciation for subtlety rather than spectacle. The northernmost point of Europe, allegedly. NORDKAPP sits at 71 degrees north. Thus the cliff rises 307 meters from the Arctic Ocean. The symbolism is powerful. The reality is complicated because Snæfjellodden nearby extends slightly further north. The globe monument marks the point, a steel sphere with tourists photographing. The achievement of reaching the continent's edge is celebrated despite the technicality. The visitor center is built into the cliff underground. The exhibitions display Arctic information, the region's history and culture. The experience is indoor and climate controlled, protecting visitors from harsh weather that makes outdoor time uncomfortable. The midnight sun is visible from May through July. The sun circles the horizon, never setting. The phenomenon is surreal. The daylight is constant. Sleep is difficult. The cliff is dramatic, exposed and windswept. The weather is harsh, even in summer. The winter is inaccessible by road. Snowmobiles and guided tours are the only options, and NORDKAPP is a symbolic destination. The appeal is psychological rather than aesthetic. The northernmost point matters because humans create meaning from geography. The edge is significant because it marks a limit and boundary, the end of land and the beginning of the endless Arctic Ocean. Norway's second-largest island covers 1,500 square kilometers. The population is 7,700, concentrated in a few villages. The interior is empty, mountainous, and wild. And SENJA is known for Segla Mountain, a distinctive peak rising from the sea at 640 meters. The summit is sharp. The hike is popular. The views are spectacular. The coastline extends in both directions with mountains and fjords and ocean visible from the top. The Trondheimen viewpoint shows a rocky peninsula jutting into the sea. The perspective is dramatic. The location is photogenic. The wooden platform allows safe viewing of the drop and the waves. The national tourist route, SENJA, circumnavigates the island, 200 kilometers of scenic driving. The road hugs the coast through tunnels and over mountains. The views are constantly amazing. The fishing villages are traditional. Ham is a reconstruction of a historic trading post. The buildings are old style. The accommodation is atmospheric. The location is spectacular, with fjords and mountains surrounding. SENJA is Lofoten without the crowds. The beauty is comparable. The infrastructure is less developed. Tourism is growing. The future is uncertain whether SENJA maintains character or follows Lofoten's path toward commercialization. The Venice of Lofoten, the fishing village already mentioned but deserving detail. Henningsvær sits on islands in the Vestfjord, connected by bridges. The village spreads across the water. Channels run between buildings. Boats are everywhere. The population is 500, swelling with tourists in summer. All fishing remains important. The harbor is active. Boats depart daily. The cod arrives seasonally. The stockfish racks dominate the landscape from February through May. The galleries are numerous. Artists are attracted by the light, landscape, and community. The isolation focuses creativity. The climbing is world-class. Klatrekafeen offers routes on overhanging rock. The exposure is significant. The views extend across the harbor. Climbers are suspended over water. Henningsvær is a fishing village becoming a tourist destination. The authenticity is commercializing. The balance is precarious. The residents are torn between economic opportunity and cultural preservation. The postcard village, the most photographed location in Lofoten, perhaps in Norway. Reyna has 300 residents. Red råbuer line the waterfront. Mountains rise behind, Reinebringen and Olstinden. The peaks are reflected in the fjord when conditions calm. The village is a fishing community. The economy is now tourism. The råbuer are converted to accommodation. The nightly rates exceed what fishermen earned weekly when these were work cabins. The hiking is Reinebringen, with 1,500 stone steps built by Nepalese Sherpas. The trail was previously dangerously eroded. The reconstruction makes it safe and accessible, but crowded. The views from the summit are legendary. The perspective shows the entire archipelago, how mountains rise from the sea, how villages cling to shorelines, and how geography defies easy habitation, yet humans persist. Reyna is Lofoten distilled. The essence is captured in one village. The beauty is overwhelming. The crowds are inevitable. The authenticity is compromised, but present. The village functions despite tourism. Residents live among the visitors. Privacy is sacrificed for economic survival. The city on the way to Lofoten. And Bodø has 52,000 residents as the Nordland county capital. It is the terminus for the railway from Oslo and the ferry port to Lofoten. The airport serves the region. The city was destroyed in World War II by German bombing that flattened it. The population was evacuated to camps. The reconstruction started from zero. The buildings were utilitarian rather than beautiful. The architecture is functional. The aesthetics were sacrificed for speed. And the Norwegian Aviation Museum displays aircraft history with military focus and Cold War exhibits. The location is strategic. Bodø is close to the Soviet border. NATO airbase is here. The city is the base for the Saltstraumen, the strongest maelstrom globally, 10 minutes drive away, with tidal current creating whirlpools at 40 kilometers per hour. 400 million cubic meters of water flow through the 3-kilometer strait every 6 hours. The midnight sun is visible from Bodø June through July. The northern lights are winter phenomena. The city's latitude provides both. Bodø is a functional city. The appeal is practical rather than aesthetic. Services are provided for travelers. The city is a base for exploring the region. The destination is elsewhere. The Arctic archipelago is Norwegian territory, though international by treaty, covering 61,000 square kilometers. The population is 2,500, concentrated in Longyearbyen. The rest is uninhabited except for research stations. The environment is too harsh for settlement. Svalbard is known for polar bears. 3,000 outnumber humans. The animals are protected. Encounters are dangerous, and rifles are required outside settlements. The safety protocols are strict. The glaciers cover 60% of the land. The ice is retreating measurably. Climate change is visible year over year. The temperatures are rising faster here than the global average. Coal mining defined the economy historically. The industry is declining. The last mine is closing soon. Tourism is replacing extraction. Visitors arrive for Arctic experience. The midnight sun is summer. Polar night is winter, and the extremes attract those seeking edge experiences. The seed vault stores 900,000 seed samples, backup for global agriculture. The Arctic cold provides free refrigeration. The location is chosen for stability and security. The mission ensures food security. The facility is nicknamed the Doomsday Vault. The name is dramatic, though the purpose is serious. Norway is full of contradictions. Oil wealth funds the green transition. Hydroelectric power enables aluminum smelting. In pristine nature exists alongside industrial extraction. Viking heritage and modern egalitarianism coexist. The sparse population has world-class infrastructure. The Arctic location has a temperate climate. The small nation has global influence. The fjords will remain. The mountains will stand. The northern lights will dance. The midnight sun will circle. The glaciers will retreat. The climate will change. The oil will run out eventually. But Norway built the Sovereign Wealth Fund, and $1.6 trillion invested globally. The future is secured by fossil fuels. The irony is complete. The pragmatism is Norwegian. The forward planning is impressive. The ethics are debatable. 5 million people spread across territory too large to fill. Tunnels connect them, ferries link them, roads serve them. The infrastructure is first world despite Arctic challenges. The Vikings sailed from here. The explorers departed here. Amundsen reached the South Pole first. Nansen crossed Greenland. Heyerdahl sailed the Pacific. The tradition of exploration persists. The Norwegian spirit seeks edges, boundaries, and limits. This is Norway, land of fjords, land of mountains, land of midnight sun and northern lights, land of oil and fish, land of trolls and stave churches, land of Vikings and egalitarians, land of contradictions that somehow work. "40 places from south to Arctic, from capital to wilderness, from tourist icons to hidden valleys, all real, on All Norway, all worth seeing. Subscribe to Passport Unfolded. Some countries are larger than their geography suggests. Norway is larger than its population suggests. 5 million people built this. Imagine what they will do next.